Well, Zemo gets a visitor while in prison and a whole bunch of other stuff on tonight's episode of I Stream, You Stream.
Hello?
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of I Stream, You Stream, where we are going to be covering episode number 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which, by the way, I've been saying it wrong for this whole time. I've been calling it Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but there's a "the" in front of that. I was not aware of this.
I guess if you were to look this up, alphabetically, it might throw you off. But
yeah, so The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is episode number 3, entitled Power Broker. So this one was really, really cool. I am Lord Cash. I am being joined by AllThatPat.
Absolutely.
How are you doing, friend?
I'm doing great, Lord Cash. Unfortunately, BitOfRits cannot be here tonight, but she will be here next time for sure. But I'm excited to kind of go over episode 3 of the Power Broker. Lord Cash, I got to tell you, this whole episode I was confused because I kept watching it and I'm like, wait, is that going to be the Power Broker? Is that going to be the Power Broker? Is that going to be the Power Broker? I had no clue. It was really confusing to me, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I have no idea.
I have a theory.
Oh boy.
Power Broker is really Mephisto.
Could be. And working for Stark Enterprises. Who the heck knows?
It's all about the hexes and Mephistos. Regardless of what we see, it's going to be, Mephisto. There he is. Mephisto's right there. So
right behind you.
No. Well, sorry. I thought I would see him, but no. He moved too quickly. Well, anyways, this is, as I mentioned, episode number 3, Power Broker. We are going to be covering everything in this episode. So if by chance you have not seen this episode, you are being warned that there will be spoilers ahead. So it is Thursday. It came out 7 days ago. Come on, people. What are you doing? Get out there. Watch this episode. It's great. This actually puts us at the halfway mark of this series. There's only 6 episodes in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that we are 3 down. 3 more to go. How do you feel about that?
I don't know because, as we'll talk about, so this episode has a cliffhanger at the end, and it really just changed what I was thinking about as far as where I felt that the show is going. So at that halfway point, I'm all over the place because, the introduction of the Baron Zemo character, I'm not sure what I feel about Baron Zemo. He's not to be trusted. I think that's pretty clear. Although I don't know who is to be trusted. They even give a little bit behind. Oh my God, who's the woman that's running the he's originally a man in the comic book. The redhead.
Oh, Carly.
Thank you. Because even her she goes back and forth as to why she is doing the things that she does. What is their inspiration for it? I guess inspiration isn't really the right word for it. But then just as you start to get into her good graces mentally, all of a sudden she does something else in this episode that you're like, okay, are you good? Are you bad? Should I care about you or should I despise you? This whole episode, Lord Cash, long answer to a short question. I don't know how I feel about halfway through this series because I left this episode more confused than I did coming into it.
That, I think, is a good thing, though. Because, again, if all of your questions are being answered, at this point, then where does the show have to go? So
I want that buddy cop fun action, in all reality. But I don't think I got a lot of that this episode. Because even Winter Soldier, he was basically playing a role for most of this episode. And he was being very stoic. So you didn't get that kind of snarky, almost sarcasm that he sometimes gives. And the same thing goes with the Falcon. They both were not really able to portray their main characters due to a deal they pretty much had with, Baron. I almost said Baron Corbin. That's our Slam Nation Wrestling reference right there. So I just think that was kind of interesting. And like I said, thankfully you guys already put the spoilers ahead on there. But with all this dynamics between the different characters, and again, I can keep saying playing their different roles. What were your thoughts on this episode overall? Where did you leave as far as this goes?
Well, again, from episode 1, this show has definitely kind of furthered the character development of both Sam and Bucky. They have had to deal with certain personal things in their life and how they are now dealing with the world after, the blip, as well as no longer having Steve Rogers in their life. So it's what are they doing to go from, a point of the storyline to all the way till we get to the end of what the series is going to be. And I'm loving this series. This is definitely more grounded in what one might consider to be the MCU. So I love this. You've got your WandaVision. That was completely something different. I loved it for what it was, but for the most part, it was not MCU to me. On some levels, yes, it was because of some of the characters. But if you take away out of Wanda and you take out Vision, what part of the MCU really is this? Because there's really, you change certain names. It's not really a Marvel show, Marvel, story. But because you do have, Wanda, Vision, as well as, you've got Agatha there. Those are characters that are part of the greater MCU. So hearing them in that show was great. But this is, like I say, the world that they're building, some of the narration of it, of course, dealing with John Walker as being Captain America, Lamar Hoskins as, kind of his sidekick, Battlestar, things that they're doing, not necessarily the utmost up and up. And then, of course, dealing with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, their encounters with Zemo and how those actions lead further on down the storyline. So
I wanted more Captain America. Like, you pretty much got him for like 3 minutes in the opening, and then that was about it. But you're right, though, that interaction with him, though, it showed a different side of John Walker, like you said. He was not exactly upstanding, so to speak.
Right. Well, and there's a quote that and I'm gonna go ahead and bring on a character that is from the Captain America First Avenger, and that is Dr. Abraham Erskine, and he is the gentleman who selected Steve Rogers to be Captain America, essentially the super soldier.
Okay.
And so he says, go out there and be a good man, not go out there and be a good soldier.
Right. Exactly.
And so, unfortunately, John Walker is doing the exact opposite. He's trying to be a good soldier, not necessarily being a good man.
Exactly.
One of the things that took me by surprise on last week's episode, something I didn't dive too much into it because it technically wasn't a non-issue, but John Walker uses a gun to shoot one of the flag smashers. And to me, that was very not Captain America like.
Right.
But the only reason why I did not necessarily talk about that is because Steve Rogers in the 40s, when he was busting through the Hydra station, does use, a gun to shoot, the Hydra and Nazi soldiers that are at that plant. So it's not that he's opposed of it, but nowadays, even when I think it was Winter Soldier, there's that whole montage in the beginning where I think someone curses and Cap is like, language, because he's a Boy Scout. He's a goody two shoe. So therefore, that's a different characteristic from Steve Rogers and John Walker. They are two totally different characters, and they are approaching Captain America from two different perspectives. And again, that interaction when that one guy spits on him, he loses his mind, and he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And again, it's it's not who you are, but it's what you represent.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'm hoping that next episode that we get a little bit more of him, because realistically, we only have 3 more episodes, as we have alluded to.
Right.
Now, I know we got a lot to talk about tonight. But like again, the very end of the episode led with a quite the swerve without even like revealing it. Like, did you expect how the episode would end, or did that really catch you off guard?
No, that's the whole beauty of it. You don't. There are, things that you should never expect. A Marvel cliffhanger, the Spanish Inquisition, and I don't know what else. I just wanted the joke for the Spanish Inquisition, really.
It's my Python reference right there.
There you go. Yeah, no, like seriously, I did not expect episode 1 to end the way it did. I did not expect episode 2 to end the way it did. And I absolutely did not expect for episode 3 to end the way it did. So, there was foreshadowing.
Yeah, they mentioned Wakanda a couple times, just in general, but yeah,
like I said, with that there was, but I just didn't think it. It was just one of those. Okay, I know, I get that reference, and I'm going to move on with the rest of the episode.
Now, with that being said, like, and again, we could touch on it now or whatever, but like, so near the end, like, the Winter Soldier's picking up these like little like homing device almost things, like little like balls. Is that a piece of technology that was shown in the Black Panther movie that just kind of went over my head, because they showed a detail on it. There was like a little a design on these little like tracker ball things. I wonder if I paid closer attention in the Avengers and Black Panther movies, they would say like, oh wait, that's Wakandan technology.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm trying to actually think of what those were called, but basically, if I'm not mistaken, they connect together and make like a bracelet, and they're able to leave them behind as like tracking. I'm trying to remember what their true purposes of whether or not they are homing beacons or if they are kind of just explosives or something of the nature. I'm sure Shuri has designed them to be multiple things out there. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see where that goes, because again, halfway through. So let's go over the official what actually happened, on this last episode, episode 3, where it's the general storyline of it, because like I said, there are a lot of different things, and I've said it a couple times, but again, the 3 main characters of this episode, Baron Zemo, it's a Black Panther, because we just talked about Wakanda. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, they all pretty much had to play a role as they were trying to figure out, who really was the power broker, as they were, infiltrating, a variety of different areas, that were not technically for them to go.
Right. So as far as the storyline goes, we have Walker and Hoskins head to Munich to look for Carly and the rest of the Flag Smashers. Sam and Bucky go to Berlin to get help from Baron Zemo. On top of that, we also had Carly watches as someone she cares for dies. And then there's also Sam and Bucky, as well as Zemo, look for answers on the island of Madripoor. Sharon Carter provides additional info concerning the Super Soldier Serum. The Flag Smashers loot and blow up a GRC supply depot in Lithuania. And then Bucky encounters an old friend while in Latvia.
Yeah, and that whole thing you mentioned about about Carly, helping some, watching someone that she knows, die. I believe it was her mother, or was it just like someone that she knew? I was trying to pick up on that.
It's a kind of a mother figure.
Right.
I think her name was Doña Madane.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and she had tuberculosis.
Yeah.
And
so
that was part of the reason why they were trying to get that serum, was a super soldier serum, to see if that would help her.
Right.
And that's that whole idea of yeah, she's hurting a lot of people, she's stealing, but if you had somebody that you're really close to, and this possibly could be a help to help them, live a better life, maybe get cured of a disease that they have, could you blame them? And that was that whole oh man, maybe I do want to root for this character. But then of course, 5 minutes later, as you mentioned, she blows up the building.
Right. Now, one thing to consider, the truck shipment that she actually steals, those are actually vaccines. Those weren't the serum, because we learn through the encounters with the scientists that they meet up with, that there's only 20 vials of the super soldier serum, and they have already taken 8 of them. So that means there's only 12 left. So that truck shipment with everything that was in that is not 8 doses of super soldier serum, or 12
Right.
math. So those were actually vaccines. So therefore, it was probably there to actually heal and try to help Danya. Now, something that a friend of mine shared with me today is, because of the pandemic, they actually had to kind of go and do some rewriting, because apparently there was a plague that had kind of broken loose, and that was one of the reasons why they needed all these vaccines. So since it kind of hit a little bit too close to home, they decided to do a little rewrite. So shout out to my friend Bertrand for that little tidbit of knowledge that he shared with me today.
Oh, thank you for that too. Yeah, Bertrand. So I wonder, is that maybe why they refer to it as a tuberculosis as opposed to like an unknown plague?
Possibly. They actually gave it, they changed maybe what she was dying from to being something more physical, that we can actually, we know what that is, versus, this, outbreak of, a virus strain that, whatever. So that way they did that for it. But yeah, it was, as far as, and then of course, like you said, as you mentioned later on, she goes up and blows up the GRC building, which even the people in her group, like I guess the number 2 in command, whatever, I think his name is, I had it and I forgot about it blanked on me.
Yeah, but he was shocked. He was like, there were people in there, and that was like, again, that was one, because at first when it blew up, I was like, huh, did she 100% do that? And like, she did, like, she just brushed it off. It's just kind of like, they don't care about us, more or less. I mean, that's the only message, or the only language they understand, basically,
Right.
is violence. Is what. So again, it's like one of those things. This character, is definitely developed in 2 different views, and I'm really curious if the original comic book character, which we've seen a couple times, the image of looks like a straight up like professional wrestler. It looks very goofy, but very
Flag Smasher was not a nice person. But again, it also parallels to what happened in the comics, where he saw his father get killed, and that's what kind of sent him on a little rampage, and killing, I believe he killed a bunch of like UN workers and everything. So by the death of Danya, that sent her down the path of blowing up this building. So it's a little bit of a parallel from what happened in the comics.
Oh yeah, so then that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. So, but again, some of the other characters, as we've already alluded to, we've had Baron, which I love his name, Helmut Zemo. Yeah. So I'm like, come on, what was that name? We also get to see Sharon Carter come back. So if you watched Civil War, she was there. She was Steve Rogers' next door neighbor, and possible little bit of love interest there, which is a little bit awkward considering who her grandmother is.
Yeah, exactly.
So
unique situation, though. I mean,
yeah, there's 90 years of being on ice, so it's okay.
Exactly.
There was Selby, who was kind of a I wouldn't call her like a mob boss, or maybe like a drug lord, for the I believe they were in the Bronze Monkey bar.
Yeah, something like that. Because the Falcon, what was his nickname? He was like he was a crazy monkey or something, wasn't it?
So in there, they mentioned like the sophisticated, charming African rake named Conrad Mack. aka the Smiling Tiger.
Yeah, lame nickname.
Which of course is, and this is kind of like leading into those Easter eggs a little bit, but that was actually an actual character within the Marvel comics. So this is what Smiling Tiger actually looks like. It almost kind of looks like an orange black manta.
Yeah, I can see it.
A little bit there. So, but he's got that smiling face. Got the black and orange to be that of a tiger. So, but yeah, that was a little throw to that. But yeah, like I said, as they were in the Bronze Monkey, which is one of the islands. I'm sorry, which is one of the bars that's on this island, and it's even in the comic books. So there's some comic book origins for this one, and another bar that you kind of see on the while they're walking around. But so she's there, and then of course we mentioned that there's Wilfred Nagel. Who is the scientist who basically is able to perfect the super soldier serum that was created way back in the 40s with Erskine and Tony's father. I can't think of Howard Stark. There you go. I knew it would come to me.
Mike, when they mentioned that, I was pretty confused because did they just lose the original recipe or something? Or was this guy like secretly like 90 years old himself? You know what I mean? Like I don't understand why they had this guy that was making it all of a sudden.
The Nagel guy?
Yeah.
So you gotta consider so in Captain America, the First Avenger, a little bit of spoiler here, but you had Dr. Abraham Erskine. He created the formula, which was a form of that was used by Red Skull to turn him into the Red Skull.
Yeah.
And then he was able to perfect it after that, because again, he's from Germany. And he comes over here and is able to essentially perfect it. And that's how Steve Rogers gets selected to become the component for the serum. And technically, I guess he only made like 8 or so vials. And there was a spy that was inside the transformation area, grabs the last known vial and proceeds to shoot Abraham in the chest and killing him. So essentially, the super soldier serum died with him.
Gotcha.
So he wasn't one to writing down. I'm sure he's very similar to Colonel Sanders, where he did not write down the secret recipe with all the secret herbs and spices. It was all up here. So all you got was this extra crispy. Sorry, I'm tying back into the Colonel Sanders. So then for the next 90, 100 years, well, not I guess not 100 because that would be like 2040. For the next 60 to 80 years, the government has been trying to replicate and duplicate that serum. That is what essentially Dr. Bruce Banner was doing when he ended up creating the alter ego of the Hulk. Because he was dealing with gamma radiation and trying to create the super soldier serum. And when he tried it on himself, bad things happened. And of course, he became, what is the most important recipe? Yes, that is the Colonel's 11. Is it 11 or is it 12?
It might be 12. You may have been missing one.
That last one is the super secret. Herbs and spices or the super soldier serum. So I think which is more secret or which is more important? Okay, the more important. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I think it might have to be the Colonel's recipe.
It's tasty.
Because come on, some fried chicken. Let's do that.
Yeah, and you will grow if you eat enough of that fried chicken, but not all here. More like right there.
There you go. But so you've got that. Then of course there was the Winter Soldier program that they were able to kind of create Bucky as the Winter Soldier, as well as I believe there was 5 other ones that we later learned from Civil War that Zemo had actually killed because he didn't want that program to continue. On top of that, you've got there was, the serums that these folks took. But I feel there's a couple other ones that there's Isaiah Bradley, the Black Captain America, that they were able to kind of figure something out. But basically, they were using his blood to create the new serum that Carly and the rest of the Flag Smashers took. Now,
Right.
for one thing, you may have noticed that Nagel said that he perfected this this serum. You did not have the side effects. One of those would be, of course, possibly dealing with the side effects of like the look. So you had Steve, who went from being very, tiny, and looking the way he was, to then, of course, getting the big muscular and everything type of thing. So there was that type of thing, but then there was another one which I'm trying to look up the image of some of the other candidates for
the experiment, basically.
right, because Isaiah was not the only person that was experimented on. Very similar to that of the government testing on black people in the 60s with again, I think they gave him, what disease did they try to give? Was it syphilis or was it tuberculosis?
I thought it was syphilis, but at the same time, because they mentioned tuberculosis in this episode, it's feasible that that's all tied together, but it might be completely unrelated.
I think it was syphilis. Now that I'm talking about it, I think it was syphilis. So I'm trying to type and talk at the same time, but again, I'm not saying that. But there are some other deformities, like their heads would be a little bit off, because they would be, have some reactions to it.
Right.
So there was those type of things as well in the comic. But again, we look at Carly, and by the way, I looked up his name, and it was Dovich. That's the number 2 guy command. So like they look very humanly they don't look like Thor or Captain America. They look very human like.
Yeah, they definitely weren't like physically exaggerated, so to speak. I mean, everybody that's involved in this show is kind of like that. So I'm waiting to see if there is anybody that ends up being like jacked to the gills, so to speak.
I have a theory, but I don't want to get into it because it might be a little bit on the spoilery side.
All right. Yeah, I don't want to smell that spoil.
Yep, exactly. So, but there was Nagel was one of the doctors that actually creates the formula, as we mentioned, off of Isaiah Bradley. So there was the tie into the comic, because he's actually the one that did it in the comic. So that was kind of cool that they kind of brought those in, tied them together. And of course, in this episode, Zemo basically, I don't know, if you come up with a secret formula, you better hire some extra security.
I know, he's just sitting there chilling, listening to his music, and like I thought there'd be something that would be like, they sneak up on him. He'd have some kind of like trap set for him because he was like so exposed. But
Write
it's just
it
really
down.
Yeah, well,
write down your recipe.
That too, yeah.
Of course, again, if you write it down, then someone can steal it, then they don't need you. But I get the whole thing. But I'm like, come on now. But now another person who was able to figure out this serum is now dead, because again, he was shot by Zemo.
Why do you think he shot him? That was the thing too. Is I
absolutely know, because again, Zemo is against heroes.
Oh, so he doesn't want that going any further.
No, he like I said, he's the one that shot the other 5 Winter Soldier people in their tubes in Siberia.
Okay. Yeah.
So he doesn't want people to have superpowers, to be not necessarily heroes, but to be superpowered. Because a little trivia for you, so to speak. Do you know what Zemo's nationality is?
Is he Lithuanian?
No.
Russian.
He is the same as Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah, they're Russian, right?
Well, I don't know exactly where.
Ukrainian. They're Ukrainian.
They're Sokovian.
Sokovian. Okay.
So basically, in Age of Ultron, Ultron pretty much uses vibranium and other stuff to lift the entire city out off the Earth and up into the sky. And in the process of them trying to save things, they turn off the anti-gravity generators, which causes Sokovia to come down and crash and pretty much decimate. So and in the process, his parents are killed in that experiment by Ultron, and so therefore he's blaming superheroes for that, because if it wasn't for them, then Ultron would have been created, and his country, his home, would still be around, and thus, things would be different.
It's interesting to think about that. Yeah, because like I mentioned last week, my only experience with Baron Zemo really is the toys when I was a kid. I remember the big purple guy with the mask.
I would highly recommend doing a rewatch of Civil War, because it is like when the movie was being released, it was dubbed as Avengers 2.5. Because we hadn't officially gotten to Infinity War yet, but we had just come off of Age of Ultron, where we had, a lot of characters, but essentially you had 6 characters going up against 6 other characters.
Right.
Basically trying to decide whether or not the government has the right to tell superheroes what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
Yeah, the Registration Act and all that. I mean,
yeah,
I was a huge fan of the comic arc, what they did in, I think, like 2005, something like that.
Yeah.
But like they changed so much of it in the movie that it threw me off. But I should watch it again now, so many years removed, to kind of like, to get like a new refresher on it, especially because we're going to continue looking at these, Marvel shows that are going to continue to be released on Disney Plus. I do kind of need to do my homework better on the Marvel universe for sure.
Yeah. So typically, the week before you get the new series starts, they do on Disney Plus release the Disney Legends. So I know with WandaVision, you got Wanda and Vision, kind of little backstory on those. And then there was right before the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you had 2 episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then you also got some episodes on Zemo, and you got some episodes on Sharon Carter. So at the very end, and I'm trying to cue it up so I can actually show what I'm referring to. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to pause that so I can actually get to the very end. But they usually show which movies they kind of pull from. So at least you can kind of see what to do there. Let me see something. Of course, that's not what I want.
But that's actually good that they do give you that. I wasn't aware of that, actually. I'm sure I've been told, but I didn't really pick up on it.
Yeah. So, for example, I'm going to do a little screen. That's the word I want to say. Like you can see here, in this episode, you do see it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you've got Age of Ultron. You get some Zemo, or I believe, yeah, and then of course Captain America: Civil War. You get some Zemo love. So by doing that, right there at the very end, you kind of.
So you get a little bit more of that. So Lord Cash did accidentally leave, but he'll be back in just a moment. We're continuing to talk about iStream, Ustream's current episode, which is basically it's the 3rd episode of the Winter Soldier and the Falcon. Welcome back, Lord Cash. We had a nice little commercial break.
Oh my goodness, what just happened?
You look clear right now.
I don't know. I think I know what happened. It was Agatha.
It's Agatha all along.
It was Agatha all along. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened. So yeah, I went to
And
hey.
Bianca, Ann, thank you so much for commenting. We're happy to hear that you're enjoying the show, the Falcon Winter Soldier, as well, to get to learn about all the different characters. Because who are some of your favorite characters so far that you've seen? I know myself, I'm kind of a Falcon guy. I do enjoy that character quite a bit.
Now, do you enjoy Falcon or you enjoy Black Falcon? It's a trick question. Same person. So yeah. So if you do want, as I was saying before, I interrupted myself by clicking out of the program. My bad. Definitely, when you watch the Legends episodes at the very end, they're going to tell you what movies they're pulling the screens from. So therefore, you can, like in this case, there's only two. If you're looking more about Falcon or Winter Soldier, there's a little bit more movies that they're involved in. So obviously, there's more movies to kind of go back and do homework on. So yeah, definitely, I would say definitely give a look at Civil War, because that's when you really, really get to find a lot about Zemo.
Yeah, I that's actually a really good call on that. So we'll definitely make sure to continue to do that. Now, there's a part in this where basically, ultimately, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and even Zemo to a degree, they get caught, right? They're kind of jumping around a little bit, but there is a part when they actually are in the brass monkey, the funky monkey,
the bronze monkey.
A bronze monkey. There you go. Some Beastie Boys is going on in my head, right? So what is that particular character, the Sebri or the Sebri? Like, we talked about her a little bit, but like, does she have any history? Because she didn't last much in this episode. She pretty much threatens him and then she gets taken out herself. Is there any like history or backstory to that character?
There is, but because you only have a first name, it's hard to kind of really dive a lot into her backstory. So there was a character that has powers and stuff, but I don't know if actually it's who it truly was, because we weren't for certain about it. I did not grab that image.
Right.
So
I thought she was going to be the power broker at first, and that was going with that whole confusing thing, at least for me. Like I said, I thought everybody we saw was the power broker. So when she gets knocked off so quick, and like, well, that was quick. I'm like I can't imagine that's the power broker, because there goes your story arc.
Yeah, just a little bit. You can't be power brokering much when you're dead.
No, not particularly. Although sometimes in these shows, they're not really dead. Although she dead.
Well, you know what nerd stands for, right?
I'm trying to think of something clever, but I have nothing on the docket. I have no idea. What does nerd stand for?
So in the comic sci-fi world, nerd stands for no one ever really dies.
There you go.
So just think, how many times has Loki died? And he's still around?
That is true.
Technically. I'm like, wait, I'm sorry, you died like 4 times and you have a Disney Plus series? Which, by the way, June 11th, cannot wait. The new trailer just dropped. Oh boy.
I think a new Black Widow one dropped as well this week.
Yeah. So, but we'll get to watch Loki. We're gonna get to watch Loki before we get to watch Black Widow.
How crazy is that at this point?
That is funky monkey, brass monkey, all the other stuff. Chunky monkey. I like monkeys.
I don't mind monkeys either. I think someone has joined us now, and we're like, I like monkeys. What's this show about?
It's good stuff. That's what it is. So, oh boy, yeah. There's a couple theories running out there, like who is the power broker. One of them, and again, I have zero knowledge of this, that Sharon Carter might herself be the power broker.
she does show up like right at the right time when you really
Mhm.
think about it, because she shows up right when they're almost basically getting too close.
Because I'm wondering, one, she's in the bar because she's the one that's the hooded one that kind of walks and makes her exit.
Right.
And then one of the questions that I kind of have is who actually killed Selby?
Right.
I'm thinking it might have been Sharon, because again, thinking of where she was and where she kind of is, they're up above, and that angle of a shot kind of has to come across, high up, and then of course once they exit, and also that no one was in that room with them to put out that hit. So I almost want to say whoever killed her is the one that actually put out the hit on the boys. So, like I said, I don't know, because she also has gotten a lot more cynical and gotten less heroic, so to speak, just because of the events that have happened from Civil War. I'm led to believe that she did not get taken away in the blimp, or the snap, because otherwise, how is she going to be able to build up all of this credibility on the island of Madripoor if she was gone for 5 years and have only been back for 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Oh.
a lot to digest and a lot to consider, as we go into our next 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about. I must make sure I didn't miss anything myself, but so basically, the episode basically ends with the big reveal of somebody that's kind of been tracking and also trying to get the Winter Soldier's attention straight from Wakanda.
Yep. So, are you familiar with AO?
So I was trying to, okay, not directly. I was trying to think about if this was a character that I recognized from the Black Panther and Avengers movies, specifically. But yeah, I'm not 100%, sure, because she wasn't, because I know that one of the main characters from the Black Panther was Michonne, actually, from Walking Dead.
Correct.
And then also there was there was a couple other characters I recognized, but I wasn't sure about her.
So Michonne plays Okoye, if I'm not mistaken, and the group that she belongs to is the Dora Milaje, which is basically the Secret Service to the King and the Black Panther.
Right.
So AO is the number 2 in command. So basically, there's a scene which, again, when you go rewatch Civil War, you're going to see this scene where basically she comes out being led by the Black Panther, T'Challa.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you've got Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow.
Yep.
Natasha, that's her name. I'm like, what is her real name? Natasha, and pretty much AO is like, move or I will move you. And Black Panther's like, as fun as that would be to watch, stand down, girl. Basically, to paraphrase what he says. And basically, Natasha's like, you're going to go after the Winter Soldier, aren't you? And he's like, pretty much, yes, I have to. Because another thing that they mentioned when Zemo was breaking out of the prison, so she thinks that Sharon Carter is the power broker.
Yep, I very much. Yeah, so that could definitely be.
Bianca, I would not say no to that. There's too many things that just kind of lead towards it. That's what the next 3 episodes. We might get a little of a backstory on Sharon Carter, of her time through from Civil War, kind of giving that little backstory of how she kind of left Germany, established herself in Madripoor, gained the notoriety of dealing with stolen antiquities, and possibly establishing herself as the power broker. Who knows? So we'll just have to wait to see how that plays out. So there's a line that
Ayo.
Sam says is he blew up the UN. And basically, like, did you forget, or and they killed King T'Chaka and framed you for it? Did you forget about that? Did you think they forget about it? And he's like, no, that was a trick question. Of course, they didn't forget about it. That's because Bucky was framed by Zemo for blowing up the UN building that was in wherever they were. I can't think of where it was.
Right.
But basically, King T'Chaka was killed, thus throwing T'Challa into being now the king again, or being the king. So it's just once they made that she's now on the scene, it's changing the dynamic of the show, because as you said, the show's going this way, and all of a sudden, wham, left turn.
Right.
Which I never would have thought that they were going to go down this right, but once I see it, I'm like, well, duh, of course the Wakanda people are not going to stand by and let the killer of their former king get away with it, be loose, because again, they don't know that Zemo is working with Sam and Bucky. They just know that he escaped prison, and so therefore they need to do something about it. So I don't know if maybe episode 4 we're all now going to get maybe Ayo kind of joining the the Three Musketeers, as you will, going along the way. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny though, that whole concept. You made that joke, but it's like the show starts, the Falcon the Winter Soldier. All right, cool. We got these two. Then they throw in the new Captain America. Then they threw in Baron Zemo. Now they're throwing in Ayo. It's like, yeah, it's like a faction now. It's not a tag team, so to speak. It's a big massive group, and it's going to continue expanding.
It's a Marvel salad. So now you just gotta toss it up and mix it all the greens together, and it'll be a nice. Pretty soon, we'll get the Power Broker dressing on top, and it's gonna be a lovely Marvel salad.
Who serves as the croutons though in that Marvel salad?
Oh, Baron Zemo, absolutely.
He's a little dry.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe he is the dressing because it's a little rich. Yeah, I got there. Yeah, so that was another thing that was kind of alluded to, as that Zemo, like Baron Zemo, is his name. That is his title. He is a baron. His family has money, so he's got all those cars, he's got the plane, he's got himself a butler, he's got himself an Alfred.
Well, he's also got a ski mask. I mean, those aren't cheap.
Yeah, so he's like, you mix Bruce Wayne with a little bit of red, I was gonna say Red Skull, but what is it? Not red mask, red
mask, yeah.
No, that's not right.
Red Baron?
No.
Pizza guy?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's that or Snoopy. I don't know what's going on. First base. So, but yeah, he's got money. That's the bottom line, is he's got money. And so it's just kind of seeing how him being able to fit in with that high life, that rich life, when they go to Madripoor and everything. So it was just really cool to kind of see that other side of him.
Right.
So
this episode was about 50 minutes. It was a pretty long episode.
Yeah, with credits, it was 54.
Yep.
So this is the longest MCU TV episode to date.
And tomorrow, obviously, we'll have the next episode. As always, it drops at 3 a.m. Is Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I mean, do we I mean, I don't like spoilers, and I don't like, I always avoid, even previews, right? But is there something in general, like almost vaguely, that we should be looking for tomorrow that you know of?
So, with only 3 episodes left, I have a feeling that we're gonna almost have to, because even if you go by WandaVision episode standards, we got to find out who was behind stuff by the end of episode 7.
Right.
So that was 3 episodes to the end. So by going off of that formula, we've got 3 episodes to the end. So this is the third to the end. We're going to find out what's going on with the power broker.
Right.
I think we're going to find a little bit more information about the super soldier serum. That's definitely going to play into furthering the storyline, not necessarily in this series, but potentially in others, to be vague.
Because I know you had the timeline before. Technically, when this series wraps up, what it's going to be going right into Spider-Man Far From Home, technically. So things that happen in this could spill over into that particular story.
Maybe. Well, again, that's a beautiful thing about this is, once this series is done, we can kind of go back and watch Far From Home and see if they dropped anything in there that were dropped that we had no idea about.
Right.
It's like that post-credit scene with Nick Fury up in space. Mm-hmm. We don't realize how that was connected to WandaVision with Sword. There's potential hexes involved in that. Who knows? Some of the lines in there, because in all reality, technically, had the pandemic not happened, we would have already have seen Black Widow, the Eternals, Shang-Chi, and the Ten Rings would have come out this past February. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was due last fall, and WandaVision. What's that?
Ghostbusters. It all ties together.
Exactly. And then WandaVision was not supposed to be this spring. So right around this time frame, we were supposed to be getting WandaVision in the original projected timeline. So right. We are 3 Marvel movies down. We should be at 26, not 23. And then, like I said, Falcon and Winter Soldier would have already been played. And then WandaVision would be kind of in its mix right now, depending on when in spring they would have determined this. And I believe Loki was still set for summer of 2021.
Right.
So, there's just they've had all the storyline. It's just when it would have been revealed, and how that sort of things. And I believe that things that were supposed to have been revealed in the Black Widow movie may have specific ties into Winter Soldier.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that could, because like those 2 characters, they're more directly tied. It's like it's not as far removed as say as the Guardians of the Galaxy. Where those are kind of right. They tie together, but they're like in the galaxy.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, there's certain characters that we would have been privy to and learn more about in Black Widow that I have a feeling may be showing up by episode 5 or 6 of this series to tie in with the super soldier serum.
Gotcha.
So, and again, I'm trying to let people know what I'm talking about if they know, but yet I'm also trying to be vague enough to not make you go la 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 la. I'm not listening.
I know. I've got my hand already. But yeah, I would say that in all reality, it was an important episode. Personally, I didn't enjoy it just because I couldn't sink my teeth into anything because I didn't know what was going on. I like to have at least something that I can have like leveled. Probably the part I liked the most was when they were in the club and basically the Sebri or Subri was like, answer the phone to the Falcon when his phone rang. And he's like, put on speakerphone, and it was his sister calling, and he's like acting all like very poorly acting, how big and bad. He goes, oh yeah, that's my bank. I'll take that money from the bank, which she's talking about like the bulk loan. That and the beginning with Captain America, the only things that really like stood out to me that I was like interested in. Everything else was just kind of like it was flying by me so fast that I didn't understand what was going on because that's what they wanted. They wanted you to be confused. They wanted you to know, like, who can you trust? And I don't know. I just hope they get more grounded in the next episode because again, I just want to see more of the interactions. Although my assumption is we're not going to see the Winter Soldier and the Falcon together next episode. I'm assuming Winter Soldier is going to go back to Wakanda for at least part of that episode to kind of get reestablished. You don't think so?
Nah, they're not going to. Because if you go to Wakanda, then there's the potential of encountering the King. And they haven't determined what they're doing with the King yet, I don't think.
Gotcha. No, you're right. Yeah.
So I have a feeling, if anything, AO is going to join their party.
Right.
Because, again, AO wants to get Zemo. But of course, Bucky and Sam are trying to protect him at this moment because he knows things and is valuable to them.
Right.
So I don't think Wakanda is going to be involved in this. I think they're going to further the storyline in Latvia, as well as dealing with the flag smashers and things of that nature.
Right. And you brought up a good point though, just for like the fact they haven't determined how like Chadwick Boseman's character is really going to be addressed going forward. So,
yeah. That's why I don't think they're doing that yet.
Right. I mean, I guess ultimately, if you had to give this particular episode a score, like say out of a 5 or out of a 10, you choose, what would you actually give it?
I like 10s. Just there's more wiggle room, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So I would say at least a 7. Maybe 7.5. So 5 for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that's the
series. No, love the series. Just this one didn't really hit home for me.
Yeah, again, that's the beautiful thing about this is a form of art. Art is subjective. So what you find as a Mona Lisa, I'm gonna find as dogs playing poker.
Yeah,
both are masterpieces, but to different people.
Exactly.
So,
and speaking of masterpieces, kind of a segue. You and I have to do our next episode of Crazy Card Collecting for more of those garbage pail food fights.
Oh, we do. And I got a surprise for you.
Oh, my Lanta.
What does Full House have to do with this? So yeah, I can't wait to do that because again, we've got some more Garbage Pail Kids to unbox for it. So I do have only a few Easter eggs that, if you don't mind, I'd like to share.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got so used to Easter eggs this past Sunday, I forgot we still had room for more.
Exactly. So we talked about the Bronze Monkey as being one of the bars, but the other one is actually called the Princess Bar. You kind of can see it, and as well as there's the Power Broker is watching, which is one of the things that we see from the post-credit stuff. Which again, we haven't got a post-credit scene. I also have side note, theory, whatever. I think we're gonna get post-credit scenes the last 3 episodes.
That's how it was with WandaVision for the most part. That halfway,
it was kind of going with, because it was that the modern time of the 2010s when we actually do start getting post-credit scenes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, took place back in 2008.
Right.
So, but I think they're gonna kind of do that. If we don't get it this one, it's definitely gonna be the last 2. But I would foresee the last 3 we're gonna get post credits. But anyways, so these are 2 places that are on Madripoor, which of course is that island that they talk about.
This looked cool, by the way. I do remember that shot of the city looked really cool.
Yeah. So now mostly this island is mostly associated with like New Mutants appearing back as early as 1985, but they also have it. Like I said, it's mostly associated with the X-Men universe versus like the Avengers, and it's located in the south of Singapore. And basically, they kind of mentioned that it is kind of derived from like the 1800s when your pirates would come there. There was not a lot of of law going on there, so kind of a pirate's Tortuga, if you will. But there is one of the comics out there that talks about Captain America once teaming up with Wolverine on that island back in World War II, making the first time chronologically that they ever met. So that's kind of a little cool little tidbit of there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I have a trading card from that. Now you think about it, from the Marvel Universe cards. Could be wrong, but I feel like I've seen an image of them together.
Yeah, possibly. And then of course, one of the greatest callbacks to, and again, this is one of those things where when you watch Civil War, maybe this scene will be just a little bit more funnier. But at the very end of the movie, Zemo pulls up with a very nice looking car. Bucky gets in the front seat. And of course, Sam is talking with Sharon about, hey, you come back to the States with us. You know, we'll get you that pardon and everything. And she's like, no, I've got to handle some stuff here. And Sam gets in the back seat. And what is the first thing he says?
You're not going to move the seat,
are you? Do you understand the humor to that?
I don't, but I thought it was funny in general. No, I don't get the reference.
So back in Civil War, remember how I mentioned that Sharon stole the Captain America's shield and Sam's wings to give back to them so they can kind of go on to the run to whatever, which sends Sharon into the spiral of being on the run. Well, in a VW bug, you've got Sam in the front and Bucky in the back. And Bucky's like, can you move your seat up? And he's like, nope. So they are very much at odds back in Civil War. And so now you've got the roles are reversed. And Sam is like, will you move your seat? You're not going to move your seat up, are you? And Bucky's like, nope.
That's so funny.
I thought that was amusing.
No, absolutely.
And then, quite frankly, the biggest drop of what is now MCU canon is King Kong himself.
That's true. Yeah. I caught that.
What's up with Madripoor? You talked about like it's Skull Island. They know about King Kong, bro.
They do. When's Godzilla gonna enter the fray? I mean, Godzilla versus Kong. Are we gonna have Godzilla versus Kong versus Hulk or something? I mean, it's possible.
It may be, you know.
On that.
So I just thought that was amusing. You know, again, those little worldly little drops of things that, you know, again, there's pop culture references. You know, they know Star Wars, so why wouldn't other movies exist as well?
That is true.
So, but that kind of pretty much wraps up the storyline, key players, as well as those MCU Easter eggs. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we kind of head out for the night?
No, not really. I mean, we covered quite a bit. And just, you know, everybody that's been watching tonight, we do appreciate your interaction, appreciate your eyeballs, you know what I mean, and your support. You know, if you get a chance, you feel that it's all good, you can, you know, share, like, subscribe. It'd be awesome. Tell your friends about the show. We do a lot of different things throughout the week, whether you like Marvel stuff, whether you like cards. Thank you so much, Bianca. I really do appreciate that. Crazy card collecting, basically talk about a variety of different pop culture cards from the last like 30, 40 years. It might be Garbage Pail Kids. It might be Bart Simpson cards. You know, wacky packages, you name it. We got tons of weird stuff. We also do a Call the Wild show where we go out into the wild, you know, not hunting for anything. Well, we hunt for like different like toys and games and things of that nature. And we like to show you what we do. We all look for some really weird stuff. Some things are common, but a lot of things are just kind of, you know, up there. We like to share that. Same thing goes with Mail Call Mail Time show, because we order a lot of fun stuff. And, you know, BitOfRits, Lord Cash, and myself, we all try to make it interesting to you. We do a couple subscription services as well through that, whether it be like Box Lunch Crate or Dinosaur Dracula's Drac Fun Pack. We also have Slam Nation Wrestling. It's a professional wrestling show. It's currently it's on Mondays at 7 p.m. We are looking about tinkering with that time, so keep an eye out for that. And then obviously you just watch I Stream, You Stream. That's Thursdays at 8 p.m., but you already know that. And let's see what some of the other shows are. Oh, Funko Royalty. How could I forget? Lord Cash himself is like one of the biggest pop collectors in the world. I think he's ranked number 3 in the United States alone.
The world record was just beaten with over 7,000.
Well, you just went to GameStop today. You said you bought a couple.
It still puts me under 3 though.
Yeah,
which is crazy to think about.
We all have our collections, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think I may have officially gone over the 2, but I think I'm still under the 3, so I don't know.
We actually same kind of boat with our video games, so It's what we like, I guess. Definitely. But yeah, like I said, if you subscribe to it, you'll see all the different shows that we do have. And you can watch us on Twitch. You can watch us on YouTube and on Facebook, especially on YouTube. If you go onto our channel on YouTube, New York Nerds Show, make sure you have the 2 S's in the middle for nerds and show. You can see all of our previous episodes. We have well over 100. You can see anything from me getting my hair cut, which is kind of random, but it was pretty fun. So again, like doing Easter egg hunts, reviewing shows like WandaVision, Tom and Jerry, or opening up packs of Super Mario Brothers the movie trading cards. Trust me, you look for it, you'll find it on our channel. And if you don't see it, let us know. Put a comment in the on any of our streams. What do you want us to cover? Because we're up for just about anything. So always looking to entertain ourselves, but obviously you guys in the audience for sure.
Absolutely.
So with that said, Lord Cash, it's been great. AllThatPat, myself, I think it's been cool.
Yeah. Well, as they say, if you can stream it, you should go watch it. Bye-bye, everybody.
Adios.
Hello.